Hey everybody, so not too long ago I moved into Vasastan, which is a neighborhood in the Stockholm city center, and one of the things that's cool about this is that my new neighbors here, one of them is a Swedish guy and an American girl. I was like, whoa, two Americans were neighbors, so I did the non-Swedish neighborly thing, and we've been hanging out. I know, living in Sweden and hanging out with your neighbors, absolutely crazy, right? Well, I've been getting to know them a little bit better, and actually the Swedish guy worked on Wall Street. And I always knew, okay, like people that work on Wall Street, they work extremely hard. I've never worked on Wall Street, but I wanted to ask him, okay, what was an average work day like on Wall Street? And he said, well, we would start around 9 a.m. I'm like, oh, well, 9 a.m., that sounds like a pretty normal time to start. When did you go home? I was thinking like, all right, they work longer than normal, so maybe like 6, 7 p.m. He's like, no. An average day of going home for him when he was working on Wall Street was like 10, 11, or even later at night. And I'm just going, that is insane. He's like, yeah, on average, they were working 80 plus hour work weeks. And he said that time working on Wall Street, he learned so much discipline, so much work ethic. And this really got me thinking, wow, Americans work extremely hard. Now I know Wall Street is not all of America. That is like the most extreme example possible, but I did some research into this a little bit more because Sweden is a country that's really known for their work-life balance. And as somebody that has now been working in Sweden for 3 years in various different industries and jobs, and then having, of course, grown up in America and knowing the background in that culture, I've always noticed, yeah, it does seem like there's a much better work-life balance here in Sweden. And the statistics actually show that on average, the average American works 25% more hours in a week than the average European. So there really is something to be said about this. So in this video, I want to give some of the examples that I've noticed from living in Sweden that can contribute to this work-life balance that they have here, and also weigh in on the fact whether I think this is a good thing or a bad thing. Now, first and foremost, there's some huge things that stand out. Like, for example, vacation. Most American jobs, on average, you'll get maybe like 2 weeks of paid vacation, and this isn't even required necessarily by the government, whereas in Sweden, on all contracts signed in Sweden, there's a mandatory 5 weeks of vacation. That is like pretty standard in Sweden. Everybody has at least 5 weeks of paid vacation. Now for me, this wasn't a huge deal because my background and what I studied in school, I was a trained teacher. So being a teacher in America, you do get a little bit longer vacation because when the students are off in the summertime, you also have a lot of time off in the summertime. But across a lot of other industries and in the average jobs in America, you have way less vacation days than what the similar job would have in Sweden. Now, I was hit by the harsh reality of this when I first came to Sweden and I wanted to apply for my work permit when I first got here, and we went to the immigration office, and this was in July when I came. And when I went to apply for the paperwork, I went into the office and asked them, okay, what do I need to do for all these paperworks? Well, for one thing, they said, you need to apply from your home country, which I didn't know about and created a ton of headaches, which we're not gonna go into in this video. But then they also said, well, yeah, it's July right now as well, and pretty much nobody's working in July. We're bare minimum staffed right now, so that means the waiting times, because you're applying in July, are gonna be way longer than normal. And I'm going, what do you mean nobody's working in July? This is insane to me. But this is pretty standard because Swedes have 5 weeks of paid vacation. A lot of Swedish people will take 3, 4, or maybe even all of their vacation in the summertime. And a lot of things in Sweden will really slow down, especially in the month of July. Now, if you think that is surprising, here's something that will surprise you even more if you're an American like me. According to the work permits that are given out here in Sweden, people that are working in Sweden are required to take a minimum number of vacation days in order to fulfill the obligations of their work permit. So if you as an employee want to work harder and not take all of your vacation days, you could actually be eligible to be deported from Sweden. Somebody had told me a story of an American who was on an entrepreneur visa and owned their own business and decided, hey, I want to spend more time working on my business, so I am not going to take the vacation days out of my business this year. And eventually this person was asked to leave Sweden because they were working too hard. I thought that this story seemed too unbelievable to be true, that somebody would actually get deported from a country for for working too much? So I did a Google search, and sure enough, I found a case of somebody that was working in Sweden that did not know about the requirement that they were obligated to take a minimum number of vacation days, made a deal with their employer that they would be paid extra for doing additional work, and eventually got deported from the country because he did not take his vacation days. Crazy, right? Now, one thing that kind of was crazy to me that has affected me personally is how this country of Sweden handles sick days. Now, in America, for example, if you are sick, you have a given number of sick days. Let's say maybe you have 10 sick days in the year that you can still get paid for. If you're lucky with your employer, you might have some sick days that you can take out and get paid for those days. But once you run out of those sick days, you're no longer getting paid when you're sick. And when I moved to Sweden, I thought the system worked the same way, and I had been sick for like a week, 1 week, and then I got sick again. And I was like, even though I was partially sick, I was like, oh, I want to go to work. I don't want to blow through all my sick days. That's stressful. I don't want to have to worry about that. And then I'm telling this to the employer, and they're like, what do you mean sick days? If you're sick, you're sick. And if you're not sick, you come to work. And I was like, wait, so it's not like I'm going to run out of sick days eventually? And they're like, no, if you're sick, you need to stay home. You need to rest. And I was like, I guess that's a lot less stressful that you don't have to worry about potentially running out of sick days. Now, if you do have more of a long-term illness and you're going to be away from work for a longer period of time, at some point, the government will actually step in and help you and the employer to cover some of those bills while you're away. I think this sort of system is really nice because it makes it so that when you are actually sick, that you can actually stay home and rest and focus on getting better versus worrying about, oh my God, I'm going to run through all my sick days and then not get paid and not be able to pay my bills. A few other things I want to briefly mention, and this can be different from employer to employer, but something that we have at our workplace currently and that a lot of employers in Sweden do, or we have these days that are called klämdagar. So basically how these work is if there's a national holiday on like a Tuesday or a Thursday, a klämdagar is a day between the weekend and the holiday. And what a lot of employers do in Sweden is they say, you know what, we're just going to give that day off as well so that you can enjoy a longer weekend rather than just like having a Thursday off, coming to work on Friday and then having the weekend, which I think is really, really nice because when you have just a longer period to relax and rest up, then you come back to work more refreshed rather than just having like one random holiday in the middle of the week and then bouncing back and forth between work and rest. And then not too long ago, I was talking to another expat about what the work culture was like at their workplace. And they said, well, we have something called summer hours. So in the summertime, people can leave the workplace at 3. They do 6-hour work days in the summertime. I'm going, wow, that is pretty crazy that you have a 6-hour workday and you get paid the same in the summertime. They're like, yeah, we want people to be able to enjoy the summer a little bit more. And so they do summer hours. And I'm like, wow, what a concept. And then she was going, well, yeah, but in the winter, it gets dark so early. So a lot of people leave the office around 3 o'clock as well because they want to have some sort of daylight and some sort of be able to do some activities outside and stuff and see their family while it's still bright out. I'm going, wait a sec. So they go home at 3 in the summertime and they go home at 3 in the wintertime? When do they work a full day? And she's like, well, the fall and the spring, they still work till 5. And I'm going, okay. But this is just, as an American, I'm going, what the heck kind of workplace is this? I mean, it's great that they're encouraging this work-life balance, but it still was like a shock to me hearing about this. So what is my opinion on work-life balance in Sweden? Do I prefer a little bit more of this work-life balance lifestyle that we have in Sweden? Or do I prefer the grind of America, working hard, not taking vacations, no days off, just work, work, work? Personally, for me, I think that it is much healthier to have a work-life balance. Now, I'm the kind of person that I'm workaholic. So even when I'm on my vacation days, like I am on this summer, I'm working on other things because my hobbies and my work are basically the same thing. I'm at home filming YouTube videos, I'm making Instagram posts, doing all these sorts of things, but I enjoy taking pictures. I enjoy making videos. This is a fun thing, even though it is also work at the same time. I think for me, I would get bored if I was just sitting around at home watching Netflix. Like I could only do that for maybe a day before I just drive myself crazy. But at the same time, I like the fact that Sweden allows people to have that work-life balance and have the free time to pursue those other activities that make them happy and maybe spend more time with their families, spend more time with their friends, take up other hobbies and do these sorts of things. I think that there is more to life than only work, 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 work. And I think in Sweden, we nail that balance between work and personal life a lot better than a lot of countries in the world. Now, when I think about the culture in America, oftentimes I think, okay, wow, it's really fast-paced, it's really stressful, and there's a few people that are just like the alphas that are going after it, that are doing all these things, working their butts off, and a lot of people get left behind, and there becomes this divide and this culture of like, if you want to make it, you want to be successful, you got to work, work, work. And I think that that causes a lot of stress. I mean, take for example, people are on the go all the time. That means you're going to have more stress and anxiety. Your cortisol levels are going to be higher because you're always in this fight or flight mode. You're going out because you don't have time to cook meals. You're eating fast food. All these sorts of things. It's like this perfect, dangerous cocktail for this unhealthy lifestyle. When you're stressed, you're not eating healthy, you don't have time to work out and take care of yourself, and you don't have downtime. I think that is a perfectly sound reason for why there are a lot of Americans, on average, why there's a lot of Americans that are unhealthy, overweight, because they're just working themselves to death. As somebody that has now had the chance to work in both America and Sweden, I have to say that I really, really do appreciate the work-life balance that this country has had to offer. So when I run into small inconveniences like, oh, the store is closed too early, or oh, things are slow and nothing's getting done in July, those are things that I personally can put up with because I know on the flip side, the people that are living here are enjoying a better quality of life because of it. So with that, guys, let me know if you agree with me. This is definitely a topic that is up for debate, and I'm just sitting here giving my opinions. And what I like to have is discussions about these topics in the comment section. So leave some comments down below if you are curious about this. Be sure to subscribe if you're interested in my content comparing America and Sweden. And also follow me on Instagram, especially if you are in Stockholm or plan on spending time in Stockholm. I've been doing this new thing on Instagram where I show a lot of my favorite places, restaurants, places to eat, things to do in Stockholm. So be sure to check me out there. I'm so close. I'm getting closer and closer every day to that 10,000 follower mark on Instagram that I've always had as a goal. So if you follow me on Instagram, that would be a huge support and a big thanks from me for doing that. So with that, I appreciate all of you guys. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.